You arrive while the jungle is still deciding what the morning will be. Not silent, just softened. Mist hangs low in a clearing that feels patiently kept, as if it has been waiting without hurry. Warm condensation gathers on broad leaves. It beads, it swells, and then it lets go. Drops fall with small, steady taps onto moss and old wood. Above you, the trees are tall enough to feel like pillars. Their trunks rise dark and damp, and their crowns stitch the sky into pale, filtered pieces. Vines sway in the slow air, not swinging, just moving the way a pendulum moves when no one is watching it for time. You stand where the ground is springy. A layer of moss cushions the soil. Your boots press in and lift out without sound. The air tastes green. It carries the scent of wet bark, fern, and the faint sweetness of sap warming in the first light. Somewhere deeper in the foliage, a bird calls once. Then again. Then it pauses, as if listening to its own echo fade into leaves. The clearing holds a simple kind of order. A low shelter sits to one side, built from fallen limbs and bound vines. A neat stack of split wood rests under a wide leaf that has been laid like a roof. A clay pot, turned upside down, keeps last night's embers from getting curious. A length of rope hangs from a branch, dry and ready, coiled with care. Nothing is decorative. Everything looks used. Everything looks returned to its place. Near the shelter, a narrow bench has been shaped from a single log. The surface is smoothed by hands and time. You sit for a moment and feel the faint coolness held in the wood. It steadies your weight. It asks nothing from you. Mist curls around your ankles. It moves like breath that doesn't belong to any one body. Light comes slowly. Not a sudden sunrise, but a gradual brightening that reveals detail in layers. The clearing shows itself piece by piece. A shallow basin holds collected rainwater. A woven cup rests beside it. You lift the cup and drink. The water is cool and clean, and it makes a simple line of calm through your chest. When you set the cup back, it sits exactly where it had been, as if it prefers that spot. Footsteps approach without urgency. Not loud, not secretive, just present. A guide steps into the edge of the clearing as if they have been here for a long time and are simply continuing their day. They move slowly, with the ease of someone who does not need to impress the forest. Their clothing is practical and worn soft. A pack rests comfortably on their shoulders. They carry a lantern made from a gourd and a small bundle wrapped in cloth. Their face is calm. Not smiling, not stern, just open in the way a shaded doorway is open. They look at you, then at your boots, then at the clearing itself, as if checking that everything remains as it should. Their voice, when it comes, is quiet. Morning comes gently here. It isn't a greeting that demands a reply. It's more like an observation offered to the air. They set the cloth bundle on the bench and loosen it. Inside is chalk, a coil of thin cord, and a small knife with a dull shine from frequent use. They hold the chalk up for you to see. Then they point not to the shelter but to the ground. In the center of the clearing, near a cluster of ferns, the moss forms a subtle circle. You might miss it if you were rushing, but you are not. The moss there is slightly thinner. The soil beneath looks darker. A scent rises from that spot that is different from the rest of the clearing. Cooler, like stone that has not seen daylight. The guide kneels and brushes the moss aside with the flat of their hand. Beneath it is a wooden ring, weathered and dark, fitted into the earth. A simple hatch. This grain is swollen from damp air, but it has been cared for. There are tool marks in the wood, old ones and newer ones, as if this door has been opened and closed enough times to become familiar with the motion. The guide's fingers trace the edge. They do it the way you might check a knot before trusting it. Then they pause. They look up at you again, and their eyes hold a steady patience. There's a place below, they say, still quiet. Not a treasure place. Just a place that stays cool. They tap the chalk lightly against the wood. Sometimes the light down there is kind. They do not tell you why. They do not explain what kind of light. They simply let the idea rest between you, like a leaf on still water. The jungle around the clearing continues its slow movement. Vines sway, drops fall, mist thins in soft ribbons. Nothing urges you, nothing pushes. The guide lifts the latch with care. Wood lifts against wood with a low, gentle sound. Cool air rises from the opening. It carries the scent of damp earth and something faintly sweet, like mushrooms after rain. In that cool breath, you notice another detail. A thin line of pale specks on the inner rim of the hatch. Not dust, not sand. Something that looks like powder, but it catches light in a way that feels alive. Bioluminescent spores. Dim, patient, as if they have been waiting for your eyes to adjust. The guide reaches into their pack and brings out the lantern. They do not light it yet. They hold it ready but respectful. They gesture to the hatch, then to you. No command, no ceremony, just an invitation that stays small. You stand. You shift the strap of your pack on your shoulder. You test your footing on the moss one last time, feeling the soft give, the steady ground beneath. You look into the opening. The darkness is not empty. It is full of cool air, quiet stone, and the faint promise of calm light deeper down. The guide ties one end of a cord to the wooden ring. They offer you the other end. A way to remember the path, they say. You take it. You wrap it around your wrist once, not tight, just present. Then, without urgency and without delay, you choose to go below. The first step down is a change in temperature. It happens the way shade happens, not as a shock, just as a clear difference. Cool air touches your calves, then your knees. It slides up under your clothing and settles close to your skin. The guide lowers the lantern first. A small, warm glow appears below, steady and low. Then they go down, one rung at a time, the way you climb when you expect the ladder to be honest and you return that honesty with care. You follow. The ladder is wooden and smooth from use. Your hands find the worn places. Your boots land on rungs that hold firm. Above you, the clearing narrows into a circle of mist and filtered dawn. Below you, the light grows warmer, and the walls begin to show themselves. Roots, thick, tangled roots press through the earth like slow muscles. They curve and twist around one another, forming natural arches. Some are as wide as your thigh. Some are thin and rope-like, tight as cord. All of them look alive even here. Water beads on the roots and gathers in small drops, then falls with a quiet, regular rhythm. The sound changes as you descend. On the surface, the jungle holds many layers of noise. Leaf, bird, distant movement. Here, the world simplifies. There is the faint creak of wood, the soft drip of water, the hush of your own breath, and, beneath it all, a steadier sound, like the slow exhale of stone that has been cool for centuries. At the bottom of the ladder, your boots meet packed earth. It is firm, slightly damp, and cool through the soles. The guide sets the lantern on a flat stone and adjusts the wick until the light is calm and not too bright. They lift the chalk and make a simple mark on the wall beside the ladder. Just a short line. Nothing dramatic. A quiet note to yourself. Then they tie the cord to a root that curves like a handle. The cord is not a lifeline in a panic sense. It is simply a gentle thread back toward the opening. A reminder that returning is easy when you take the time to mark your way. The passage ahead slopes downward. Not steep, not comfortable either. The floor is uneven, shaped by roots and time. In places, stones rise like small steps. In other places, the earth dips, holding shallow puddles that reflect the lantern light in soft, trembling ovals. The guide walks first. They step where the ground is firm. They pause at each bend, letting you see the space before you enter it. They do not hurry you. They do not fill the quiet with instructions. Their calm is practical. It makes the air feel steady. As you move deeper, you begin to notice the spores. At first, they are only a few pale specks along the base of a root. Then more. a faint dusting across the floor near a crack in the stone. They glow softly, not bright enough to pull your attention like a sign, but clear enough to suggest a direction. A trail that does not insist. A trail that invites. The air grows cooler, not cold, but clean. It carries the scent of mineral dampness, and underneath it, the delicate smell of fungi. A living, earthy sweetness. The walls around you are not smooth. They are a weave of root and soil, and sometimes stone appears where the earth has been worn away. In some places, roots form narrow tunnels. You turn your shoulders slightly. You duck your head. You keep the lantern low and steady. The guide shows you how to angle your body so you do not brush against fragile growth. When you pass, you move like water moves around a rock. Slow, careful, respectful. A small chamber opens up, and you step into it as if stepping into a room. The ceiling is low but stable, held by roots that cross overhead like beams. The floor is mostly stone here. Still pools collect in shallow basins. They are so still they look like dark glass. When the lantern light reaches them, it becomes softer, as if the water is keeping the glow for itself. On the far side of the chamber, mushrooms grow in a cluster. Their caps are pale and slightly translucent. A faint light lives within them, the way dawn lives behind a cloud. They glow without effort. You stand and let your eyes adjust. In the quiet, you become aware of something else. Not a sound, not a movement you can point to, more like a sense of attention that does not belong to you. As if the roots, woven through everything, are aware of your weight on the stone. As if the place notices when something enters, not with alarm, but with recognition. The guide does not react. They simply keep moving, and their steadiness tells you this awareness is normal here. They take out the chalk again and mark a second line on a stone near the chamber's entrance. Then they turn the lantern slightly and show you a different mark. Older, faded, a curved symbol almost grown over by thin roots. Others come, they say softly. Not often. Their voice is the same calm as before. No warning, no story, just a simple truth. You continue. The passage narrows again, and the floor becomes more root than earth. Thick roots form ridges you step over. Thin roots cross like cords, and you lift your feet gently so you don't catch them. In one spot, the path drops down a short ledge. The guide sits, lowers their feet, and slides down slowly. You do the same. Your hands find stone. It is cool and slightly slick, and you move with patience. The trail of spores grows clearer. You see them now in a thin line along the right side of the passage. They glow like tiny embers that never burn out. The light is calming, not sharp. It makes the darkness feel less like absence and more like shelter. Ahead, the passage opens into a larger space. You can tell by the way the air changes. It moves differently, less contained. The lantern light reaches farther before it fades. The guide slows. They lift a hand, not to stop you, but to bring your attention gently forward. You step closer. The space ahead is not dangerous, but it is careful. A long chamber stretches in front of you, shaped by roots that have hollowed the earth over centuries. Some roots arch overhead. Some run along the walls like thick veins. Below, a still pool fills much of the chamber floor. It reflects the ceiling roots and the lantern glow, creating a second, inverted world of tangled branches and soft light. Across the pool on the far side, you see it. A place where the spores gather in a calm, dense glow. A small rise of stone. A cluster of fungi unlike the others, taller, with caps that shine faintly from within. They glow with the steady, soothing light you have been following. The task becomes simple to understand. Not to conquer, not to claim, just to reach that source without disturbing the fragile shapes that hold this chamber together. Between you and it, the path is narrow. A thin ledge runs along the chamber wall. Roots cross it at intervals. Some look strong. Some look delicate, braided over empty space. The guide sets the lantern down and lets you look. They do not hurry your eyes. They do not add weight to the moment. They simply say, there. And in that quiet word, the goal is visible. Not yet attempted, just present, waiting calmly in its own light. You stand at the beginning of the ledge and let your body understand its shape. The wall is on your left. Cool stone, damp in places, firm under your palm. The open chamber is on your right, widening into darkness beyond the reach of the lantern. The pool below holds the root's reflection like a patient mirror. Nothing moves on its surface, not even a ripple. The ledge itself is narrow but real, a long strip of stone worn smooth by slow water and older passage. In some places, roots have grown across it, thick and supportive. In other places, thin fungal growth spreads like a delicate skin over the rock. The guide kneels and places the lantern at the ledge's start, angled so it casts light along your path without flooding it. They take out the cord again and tie it gently around a root near the entrance. They wrap it once, not tight, just enough to remind you that the way back is always near. They hand you the chalk. You make a small mark on the wall at shoulder height, a quiet anchor for your eyes. Then you breathe in slow. You breathe out slower. Your first step onto the ledge is careful. Your boot lands on solid stone. You shift your weight gradually, letting the ledge accept you. Your hand slides along the wall, feeling its texture. Cool, slightly rough, reliable. You move one step at a time, not because you are afraid, because the place deserves patience. The spores along the ledge glow faintly. They are scattered like soft stars fallen close to the ground. Their light does not pull you forward. It simply accompanies you. A root crosses the ledge at knee height. You lift your leg over it slowly, keeping your balance steady. Your boot clears without brushing the growth beneath. You set your foot down gently, placing it where the stone is bare. You move around a patch of pale fungi that clings to the rock like lace. You do not step on it. You do not test it. You let it stay whole. Halfway along the ledge, the wall curves inward. The space narrows. Here, a delicate fungal bridge connects one root to another, spanning a small gap where the ledge thins. The bridge is not a construction. It is growth, layered, pale, slightly translucent. It looks strong enough for a careful touch, but not for careless weight. The guide remains behind you, not close enough to crowd, not far enough to disappear. Their presence is steady in the periphery of your awareness. They say nothing. Their silence is a kind of support. You stop before the bridge. You look. You listen. You let the chamber's quiet come forward. Drip. Pause. Drip. A soft, distant sound like water traveling through a root. You rest your palm on the wall. You test your footing. The bridge is not the only way. You notice a root above, thick and curved, running parallel to the ledge. It is within reach if you extend your arm slowly. You could use it as a handhold and step lightly across the narrowest part of the ledge without placing your full weight on the fungal bridge. It will take more time. It will require balance and restraint, and it will leave the bridge untouched. You choose the slower way. You reach up, your fingers finding the root. The surface is damp and slightly ridged. It holds. You shift your weight carefully, keeping your boots on stone. You place one foot across the thin point of the ledge, then the other, keeping your center steady. Your shoulder stays close to the wall. Your breath stays quiet. When you are past, you lower your hand from the root slowly, as if thanking it without words. The spores ahead grow brighter. Not bright like a lamp, bright like a steady hearth that never crackles. The cluster of tall fungi sits on a small rise of stone on the far side of the chamber. You approach it with the same care you have carried since the surface. A final root crosses the ledge, thick as a beam. You step over it. Then the ledge widens into a small shelf of stone near the glowing cluster. Here, the air feels different, cooler and faintly sweet. The light from the fungi is calming in a way that is hard to describe without explaining. So you do not explain. You simply stand in it. It rests on your skin. It softens the edges of your thoughts. The fungi here are larger than the others. Their caps are smooth and slightly luminous, and their stems rise from the stone as if the rock itself is learning to grow. Spores drift in the air like slow dust motes. They float gently, not rushing anywhere. You see now where the trail has been leading. This is the source. Not a treasure. Not a prize. A quiet light that exists because the place exists. The guide's earlier words return in your mind without noise. Sometimes the light down there is kind. You kneel. Slowly. You place your hand on the stone near the fungi, not on them. The stone is cool and damp. You feel your own warmth meeting it. You bring out a small cloth from your pocket. You hold it open in your palm. You do not scoop. You do not scrape. You wait. A few spores drift down on their own. They settle on the cloth like pale, glowing dust. Just a small amount. Enough to remember the light. Not enough to change the place. You could take more. You can see how easily you could. But you do not. You take less than you could. You fold the cloth gently. The spores glow dim slightly inside it, as if becoming restful. You rise. You look at the fungi one last time. You do not speak to them. You do not name them. You simply let them be what they are. As you turn back, you notice the sense of attention again. Not a presence with eyes you can see. Not a creature stepping into view. More like the roots themselves holding a quiet awareness. A guardian woven from the jungle's living architecture. Neither hostile nor welcoming. Just observing. You feel it as you feel a change in air pressure. As you feel the steadiness of stone underfoot. You move back along the ledge. Slow. Deliberate. Your hand returns to the wall. The fungal bridge remains untouched. The roots remain undisturbed. The pool below stays still. At the chamber's entrance, the guide lifts the lantern and shifts it so the light meets you gently. Their face remains calm. They do not offer praise. They do not ask what you took. They simply nod once, a small acknowledgement that you moved with respect. You return the way you came. One chalk mark, then another. The cord guiding your wrist like a quiet thread. The air slowly warms as you move upward. The sounds change back. Drip becomes softer, then less frequent. The narrow tunnels open into familiar chambers. The lantern's glow stays steady. The sense of being watched does not follow like a pursuit. It remains behind, like a place closing its door gently after you leave. When you reach the ladder, you pause and look down once. Not with longing, just with recognition. Then you climb, rung by rung, slow and sure. Above, the circle of dawn waits. And you withdraw safely, without hurry, without being chased, carrying only a small folded cloth and the quiet feeling of having been accepted, not rewarded. When you lift the hatch, the air that meets you is warmer. The mist has thinned. The clearing is brighter now, but still soft. Light filters through the canopy in wide, pale beams, and everything looks gently rinsed. You step out and stand on moss again. It gives under your boots with the same patient spring. The sounds of the jungle return in layers. A distant bird, a slow rustle, the quiet drip from leaves that have been holding water since night. The guide follows you up and lowers the hatch back into place with care. They brush moss over the seam again, returning the clearing to itself. No sign, no announcement, just a quiet restoration. They sit on the log bench and set the lantern down. They pour a small amount of water into the woven cup and offer it to you. You drink. It tastes like rain and leaf. Cool, clean, simple. When you hand the cup back, the guide sets it where it belongs. They look at you, then at the trees, then at the ground where the hatch hides beneath moss. Their voice is minimal. That's enough, they say. Not as a limit, but as a truth. You sit on the bench. You take out the folded cloth. You do not open it wide. You just loosen it enough to see the faint, patient glow inside. The spores rest there quietly. They do not flare. They do not demand attention. They simply hold a soft light, like a memory that does not need words. The guide watches without leaning in. No curiosity that feels intrusive. No judgment. Just the calm attention of someone who understands that some things are best left understated. You tuck the cloth away again. You let your hands rest on your knees. You feel the warmth of the day beginning to gather. Not hot yet, just present. A breeze moves through the clearing. It shifts the vines slightly. They sway like slow pendulums again, keeping time that belongs only to the place. You notice how the clearing functions. The shelter, the stacked wood, the basin, the rope, everything practical, everything patient, nothing trying to be more than it is. You sit until your breathing matches the rhythm around you. In, out, slow, steady. The guide stands and checks the bindings on the shelter roof. They adjust a leaf. They straighten a coil of rope. Small tasks done without hurry. Then they return to the edge of the clearing and pause, looking out into the deeper jungle. They do not wave you forward. They do not send you away. They simply allow the day to continue. You stand when your body is ready. You shift your pack comfortably. You feel your boots on soft ground. You take one step, then another, moving toward the path that brought you here. The clearing does not close behind you. It remains, a quiet pocket of order inside a living world. As you walk, the air stays warm and damp. Leaves hold beads of water that gather and fall. Your shoulders feel lighter, not from explanation, but from simple steadiness. The light under the canopy remains gentle. The ground remains springy with moss. And when you think back to where you began, the image returns easily. A mist-soft jungle clearing at dawn. Towering trees dripping warm condensation. Vines swaying like slow pendulums. Patient place, waiting without urgency. Not silent, just quiet.